So in like 2023, I took a little bit of time off from photography. I didn't have any cameras. And I saw the Nikon Zf, probably like a lot of other people, and I got really excited about it. So when I had enough money saved up, I bought the Nikon Zf, and that was like early 2024. And to me, this was the best camera I'd ever had. And I've had some cool cameras. I had some old film cameras like the Nikon F100. I had the Mamiya 645, and I had Fuji X-T4. So I had some cool cameras, but this was probably the coolest camera that I'd ever had. I love the design, the aesthetics, the brass dials, everything about the Nikon ZF I love. Until one day I sadly dropped it, and I like cracked the top plate on the Nikon ZF. I made a video about it, and that kind of really damaged the camera. And then like the final knockout punch, I was like messing around with the camera, and I destroyed it basically. And at that point I was left with no camera. So I had to get another camera, but I didn't have a lot of money to spend. Like, I just didn't. So I figured that getting a cheap film camera would be a good idea. So I found the Nikon FM2N. I figured I could use my, the manual focus lenses the old vintage manual lenses from Nikon that I was using on my ZF, adapted. I just put those right onto the FM2N, and everything was cool, for the most part, right? For the most part. But the main thing that ruined my experience with the FM2N, right? Outside of the film cost being ridiculous, it was a problem that I encountered. One night, my cousin, he reached out to me. He does photography, and he just wanted to, just get out, do something different. And he saw that I've been doing like some street photography at night. I guess like party, nightlight photography that I've been doing, street photography. And he wanted to join me. So he came with me, and we did some street photography on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. And long story short, we had a great night. It was a great night of photography. We met a lot of different people, tons of people, right? Got a few people's Instagram, did some street portraits, and I was just out there firing with the FM2N, and everybody was like, hey, make sure you send me those pictures after you get your film back. Of course, like, okay, cool, I'm definitely gonna do that. I got people's Instagrams. I'm messaging people, letting them know that, hey, the film's coming. So that was Saturday night that we had shot. On that following Monday, that next Monday, took the film to the lab. Take it to the lab. Usually they're like, it's gonna be about a day or two to get back the color film. I shot on Portra 800. And this time they said it'd be a week. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Sure enough, it was about a week later, and I got an email. I was so excited. Got that email. You know what it's like when you send your film to the lab and they send you that email to let you know that your files are ready to download. So I open up my email and I see one of the rolls is ready to download, and then I see another email or message saying like, we couldn't process this film. There was nothing on the film. I thought I did everything right. I loaded the camera. This was probably like my 7th or 8th roll I had put through the FM2N. And that roll that I shot, and I told people that I was going to give them the files, and these were images I was really excited about seeing. I had even brought my GoPro, put that on my chest, recorded the whole night. All of those images that I took on my film camera were gone. And I didn't know during the middle of me shooting that it wasn't working. Everything seemed to be working just fine. It crushed me. Have you ever had that feeling like in your throat where it's like you don't know if you're gonna cry or scream? Like, that's where I was at. I'd say that was probably like 3 weeks ago. I've probably shot one frame since then because I was like, I'm not going to put time into trying to take a good photograph for it to not come out. And I was like, I'd rather just not even take the picture. So, you know, I got some money put together, and I ended up buying another Nikon Zf. I mean, the camera's so nice, I had to buy it twice. If you're doing client work, or if you need, if you really, really need these images you just want to make sure you got them, a safety net is just not good for that. It's just, I cannot, that's the biggest drawback to me. Like, it's risky business. Let's also talk about the cost. This is another drawback for me. I like to shoot with the good stuff. So I like to shoot with like a Portra 400 or a Portra 800. One roll of film will cost you somewhere between, like, at least right now in 2025, it's gonna cost you, for me, $18 to $20 per roll. So there's 36 exposures on a roll. That's 50 cents per shot right there. And if you're taking it to the lab, at my local lab, it's like $35 to get the high res scans and to get them to develop it. So if you put that together, that's $1. That's an extra dollar per each shot. So you're looking at $1.50 per image that you're shooting with the film. So it's not cost effective. I wouldn't recommend this for somebody that's trying to save money. Like, of course, on the front end, yeah, one great thing is that you're gonna be able to get a really good camera, or, a really good camera with a great build design, a build quality for a cheap price. But you pay little on the front end, but you kind of pay a lot on the back end with the amount of film, especially if you're like doing what I was doing, shooting like street photography, and you're getting a lot of shots in. It's a lot of money. So that's a big drawback. The other one, like I said before, is a higher chance of the film being destroyed. I know if you like bring it through the airport, you have to be careful bringing it through the airport. It's just so many ways that it can get destroyed. I mean, I guess same thing for a memory card, but it's just way worse with film to me. A reason to get it, right? Like, I did like film enough to get this camera, to get the Nikon FM2N. When I shoot a frame with this camera, I'm just gonna do a test frame. Just listen to this clunk. Let me listen to this. Hold on. Oops. Maybe it isn't that satisfying coming through, but to me, it just sounds really good. It's so tactile. It feels so good and fluid. It's definitely a feeling that you get shooting with film. Like with this Nikon Zf, it's a lackluster shutter sound. Like, it's very modest. It's quiet, it's cool, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like you're capturing the essence of the moment. The film camera feels like you're doing something. The novelty, the uniqueness of shooting film. A lot of people just don't shoot film. So if you're shooting film still in 2025 and beyond, it's unique in a way. And you're gonna feel cool, probably. I'm just being honest. It's just kind of cool to have a film camera. One thing I really did like is that I like the rendering of the colors on film too versus my digital. I just do. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the portrait. I still tweak my colors in Lightroom, but I like the way that just something about the film is just easier to get the colors that I like just coming from film, I think. Black and white, I feel like I can kind of do black and white similar to how I would like it on film on digital, but that the colors, I really liked it on the film. That was something really great that I might miss not shooting film as much. And then of course it's just gonna lock you into the moment more because you know already that each shot has a built-in cost. So it's just gonna lock you into a different level of focus with each shot that you take. I would say get you an old full frame DSLR. This is one girl that I seen, her YouTube video came up on my recommended, I checked out, and she had like a D700 Nikon. So I'm a Nikon guy, so she had like a D700, I think that's what it was. And another dude, I think he had like a D200. And it just kind of gives you that film vibe. And you know, each click of the shutter, you're gonna get that mechanical clunk, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you're not gonna get that with the mirrorless. You're just not gonna get that mirrorless. It's not gonna slap, you know? And then I've heard that the rendering is very similar to, you know, what you would see on a film camera. So if I wouldn't have got the ZF, because I do like the functionality of the video and doing all that of the Nikon ZF, but I will look into like an old full frame DSLR. Me in particular, I would probably do the D700 or something like the Nikon DF if I want to stretch my budget. But that D700, that's probably something that I would really look into because it's a really good price. I think it's only like 10 or 12 megapixels. But, you know, if you got a good lens up there, I could see where you could get some really good film-like images. So that's something that I would probably do. Instead of getting a film camera, potentially get like an Instax, the Fujifilm Instax camera. I know they got a lot of those that came out. That's gonna give you a lot of that novelty, uniqueness, and you're gonna actually get, it's film that's actually printed out. So the Instax cameras, the Polaroids, that's something that I actually would look into, like, legitimately. Another alternative is doing something like what I did, is getting you a retro styled camera. Of course, you got the Fujis. The ones that I would do, or I would recommend to myself, is like the X-T3, because I heard the build quality is a little bit pretty good, you know. The X Pro 3, that's kind of my style, or even the Nikon Zf. So you're gonna get the retro styling. With the buttons, it's gonna slow you down if you decide to use the buttons and the retro dials. The last thing I would say is I would recommend getting a manual focus lens. Nowadays, everybody can get that slowed down vintage, I guess, film like shooting experience if you get you manual focus lens, especially one of these old ones, and you can adapt it to your camera. It'll slow you down, and you're gonna get some unique renderings because a lot of the colors and stuff come from the lens, right? A lot of the rendering that you're gonna see from that film-like quality comes from the lenses. So that would be my final thoughts and recommendations. If I could just put like a bow on this whole conversation. I just had to make this video because I would have loved to hear somebody telling me, like, yo, just instead of getting the FM2N, why don't you just get the D700? I wish I would have heard that then, you know what I'm saying? Or if somebody told me, you know, get an instant film camera or something. It's just something different, because I don't think this is the best choice. Like, it can be a good supplemental choice, but I feel like you have to have your digital camera this day and age. It just makes more sense to me. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you just didn't enjoy this video but you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Can you go ahead and leave me a like? That lets me know that you're really rocking with it, and I can come back with some other interesting content. Subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, what you agree with, what you don't, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.